Welcome to the Spunky Spirit Podcast. I'm your host, psychic medium Carrie Muggs. This is where we learn all things spirit, everything from spiritual gifts, awakenings, ghosts, aliens, and starseeds. Nothing is untouchable, but always fun and spunky. I am honored to be on this spiritual journey with you, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Hello, my friends. Hello, Spunksters, and welcome to this week's Spunky Spirit Podcast. So this week is going to be fun. This week, I'm going to first take off my bracelets because they're making too much noise. This week, we're going to talk about some cool experiences that I've had and why they led to that. And then it's all going to end with some haunted Disney stories. And you'll see why when we start. So if you guys don't know, probably you don't, because I haven't told anybody this, but I am going to Disneyland for Halloween this year. And we're going to Oogie Boogie. And for those of you who don't know what Oogie Boogie is, it's a special thing that they do at nighttime during Halloween that the villains come out and they do trick-or-treating. It's pretty hard to get into now. It used to not be as much. Like the tickets used to take like a week to sell out. This year they took like a day to sell out. So I was trying to it was like a big deal. We were going to Disneyland the end of October, and I needed to get some Oogie Boogie tickets because I really, I love Disney. And so anyways, I was trying to get some Oogie Boogie tickets. And some cool things really happened while I was trying to get these tickets. So a little backstory, and this is where we're going to kind of talk about some of my readings. Now, I don't normally talk about my readings. So if you ever get a reading from me, I keep them very confidential. I have been given permission from this family to go ahead and talk about this just because the person that I'm going to talk about was just such an amazing person and very go-getter, very confident, very awesome. And that's why you'll see why that contributes to the story. But so I was getting the Oogie Boogie tickets and I got up like early in the morning or when they started to go on sale, and I got both my phone. And this is probably why they're hard to get, right? Because everybody gets on their computer, gets on their phone, and gets on their iPads. Well, I did. I got on my iPad and my phone both. And it was one of those things like I felt like I was doing Taylor Swift concert tickets. So it was like waiting and trying to get in the queue. And they had this big Oogie Boogie guide. You'd have to like wait and see the line go. And you'd have to like wait to get your tickets. And then you'd see this little thing at the bottom of the screen, and it would tell you how far you had to go. And I had readings that day at 3:00. So I was like, gosh, I hope I get in before 3. I've got to get in. Well, at least by 2:30, because I have to go to the office and do the readings. And nothing, like all day, the little line at the bottom was barely moving at all. And so I just was like, please just, help me get these tickets. And you know what we ask Spirit for, just anything sometimes. And so I kid you not, about 2:00, the little line started moving forward just on my iPad, not on my phone, just on my iPad. My phone was staying right where it was. And it just started moving. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then it says you have I think it was like 1:15, and I had like a 45-minute wait. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make it. I don't think I'm going to make it. It was like cutting it really, really close because I had to leave at 2:30. And so I kept waiting, and it just kept moving a little bit at a time. And it would be like 30 minutes. And then all of a sudden, like at 2:10, it just like zoomed to the front. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I got in and I was so nervous. And I was like trying to put everybody's names in because there's 4 of us going. And I put our names in, got everything done, paid for the tickets. And by the time I was done, it was 2:26. Now, the reason why that matters is because I'm going to give you a little backstory now. So we're going to take a little bit of a backstory trip. I had an amazing client that a lot of his family would come to me. And his sister came to me. In fact, I don't know how much I can tell you, but his sister was pretty good friends with my daughter in high school. And so his sister had come to me, and some of his other family members had come to me, and he decided to try. And I remember when he was sitting across from me in the reading room, I told him straight out, sometimes men will make me nervous because they're so skeptic. And he was just like, I am the most laid back person you will ever meet. I was like, okay. Luckily, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he was related to this girl. I just knew. In fact, I don't even think he put his last name because he didn't. I don't think he wanted me to know who he was. He put Ryan O. And so I gave him the reading. And the reason why I'm going ahead and telling you is his information is because I got permission from his family. And I gave him the reading. It was funny. It was good. And I remember before he left, he he said, I'll be back. And he asked for a hug. And it was awesome. So then, but I remember also being really nervous because one, I'm not nervous anymore when I read men, but he was a man. And also too, because that night was my very first, I was running a membership program on Patreon. And that night was my very first group reading. Like, so I was going to have lots of my members in online, and I was going to do a big reading for all of them. And so I was super nervous, and I was like, yeah, here's a hug. I'm out of here. And so then 3 weeks later, he passed away. He got in an accident and passed away. And he was larger than life type of person. And he honestly, if he were still alive today, he would probably be a motivational speaker. He just made you feel good and good about everything. And anyways, he was kind of aggressive, not like aggressive mean, but he was like, he went after what he wanted, and there was no fear in him. And the reason why this is important is because I had made a deal with spirit when I started doing readings that I would not seek out people. They would have to send people to me. I would not market for people. I would not go find people. I would not do drive-by readings for people like you see on TV when they go to the store and they're like, there's a spirit around you. I told spirit, that's not what I'm going to do. People have to come to me. I'm not going to go to them. And so that was kind of the deal I made with spirit. And the reason why is because I had a really bad experience before I kind of knew what I was doing. And I didn't really know the laws of integrity for mediums. I did go to somebody through Facebook, and she was not feeling very well. And I reached out to her and told her that there was a spirit around her that maybe she had dated in high school. Anyways, I'm not going to get too much into that story, but she believed me the first day. But then, of course, after she talked to her friends and they had kind of like told her what their opinion was, she decided I was evil. And that's okay, because I did it the wrong way. And people don't understand sometimes, and sometimes people aren't ready for this stuff. So I said, that's fine. I said, you go to your counselor, you go to a Christian counselor, because it really kind of knocked her and she wanted to go seek some Christian counseling. And I said, you do that. But just know that this is the person, he's going to give you signs, and it's going to be feathers or 3 feathers or something like that. And so she said, okay. She went to the Christian counselor, and the Christian counselor that day showed up with 2 feather earrings and a feather necklace. And she said, the crazy thing is the counselor had been wearing something completely different that day. And the reason why I'm telling you this story is because there's no clue. You would have no clue who this is. And it was so long ago. So anyways, the Christian counselor had feather earrings and a feather necklace on. And the crazy thing is the Christian counselor had gotten ready for the day. And on her way out of the house, she'd spilled coffee and she had to get redressed or redo her outfit. And she was pulled to those feathers. So after that, I had decided I am never going to reach out to people. I don't care if they're my friends, I am not going to go to people. They have to come to me. So, or because I just feel like spirits will bring those people to me that they want to have me do readings for. So Ryan Olson, he very aggressive, he goes after what he wants. He has no fear. And he already knew me. He already knew me personally. And so when I looked up at the clock and I saw 226, that was Ryan's birthday. And I had known that because I'd done so many readings for his family that number stood out to me. And so sometimes I know when he just comes and says hi to me when I see 226 a lot. And the time at the checkout of Oogie Boogie was 226. And I was like, oh my gosh, Ryan Olson. And he said, I heard his voice. Yes, now call my mom and tell her I love her and that I'm with her. And I said, Ryan, you know, I don't do that. You just know I don't. I just got you Oogie Boogie tickets. So it's like, fine, I'll do it. So I go and I do my readings because I had to hurry to work. And that night on my way home, I begrudgingly called his mom. And I said, so what's going on today? Because I said, Ryan wanted me to call you. And she said, today was a pretty hard day. Today was a medical procedure that someone in our family had to go through. And it was hard. And I said, well, Ryan wants you to know that he was with you and he loves you. And he was there. And so I thought that was the most amazing story. And it was just so heartwarming to me that one, Ryan got me out of my comfort zone. And two, that the spirit world still very much exists. He knew I was nervous about reaching out to people. And so he got me out of my comfort zone. He knew his mom needed me or needed him. Sorry, excuse me. And he knew he didn't let my, I should say, boundaries, but he didn't let that stop him. He went after it. Now, honestly, I do have pretty strong boundaries here because if every spirit did this, I would be bombarded like constantly. And so luckily, I really feel like his reading before he passed got that connection. So I knew him more. I knew him closely, or I knew him closer. So needless to say, I got Oogie Boogie tickets to Disneyland this year, and we are going as me, my husband, and two of our kids are going. And so I thought that would be an awesome kind of, because of before I have done podcasts on the hauntings of Yellowstone. And I thought this morning, I thought I should do some hauntings of Disneyland. And then I heard Ryan say, tell him about Oogie Boogie tickets. And so it was just, I had to. So I messaged his mom and I was like, can I tell this story? And I said, I won't say any names. She said, you say his name because that's what he would want. That's who he was. So anyways, it's just a validation that the spirits are still around us. And they do things like that for us all the time, even if it's something as simple as Oogie Boogie tickets. Really, it really is. And they can sometimes they can intervene in our lives. Not if there are some things that can't, and they can't make decisions for us, but they can very much be part of our lives. So going into the topic then today is some haunted Disney places. Like, so some things that are haunted in Disneyland, because I thought this was interesting, because the last time I went, I didn't really tap in. I just kind of was like, there for the fun of it. But since I'm there for Oogie Boogie, I'm really going to try and tap in this time. So if I do see anything, I will tell you on the podcast if I do hear anything. So these are allegedly hauntings. Like, the park doesn't like to acknowledge these because it's a place of fun and happiness and all that stuff. But so I'm just kind of bear with me with some of this. So, but the Matterhorn is said that it's haunted. In 1984, a woman named Dolly Regina Young was thrown from one of the bobsleds and died because another bobsled had hit her. So the section where she was hit is now known as Dolly's Dip. And so when people go through it, some employees and guests say that they have felt her presence in the Dolly's Dip, or they can see her presence in the Dolly's Dip and in the Matterhorn. And I don't remember if the Matterhorn is still up or not, because I know that they do have a couple that are coming, some of the rides that are coming down, but that was one of them that was one of the, so they say that the Matterhorn is haunted, or that they can still feel Dolly's presence there. Now, remember, if you've listened to these podcasts, you know that I firmly believe her spirit's not running around the Matterhorn, right? Like that was a trauma that happened to her, and she lost because of that energy that happened, that trauma that happened, that energy still stayed there, and that part of her could still be there. I fully believe that Dolly is in a resting place in peace in heaven. But I do feel like when we do have traumas, sometimes we leave that energy or that soul fracture there, and that's what hauntings do. That's my belief. That I just really have a hard time believing that there's Dolly still stuck in the Matterhorn, but I think it's cool. So if it is there, I'm going to try and see if I can feel it or see it. So the next one would be Space Mountain. Now, I think this one is getting torn down, but I'm not sure, you guys. I love the Disney stuff, but I don't know about the rides because I don't really go on a lot of the rides. But so the one on Space Mountain is there's a spirit called Mr. One Way. And he has said to have died in the 1970s. He died on the ride. Now, I should have researched these more to see if this is really true, but Disney is really good at hiding it or disclaiming it or saying it didn't happen. He said to have red hair and a red face, and he is said to usually like sit in the single seats. So there's even a video on like Google or YouTube that you can actually kind of see a mass of a spirit like moving through and then sitting on the seat next to on an empty seat next to a single. So they say that he gets into the single seat and he rides the ride, and then he just is one way. So once the ride's over, he's off. So once at the exit, so at the end of the ride, he disappears. They can't see him anymore. Can you tell I'm looking at my notes down at the bottom? Now, the next one is the Haunted Mansion, which they say it does have a lot of spirits. Sorry, my microphone just fell. Does say that it does have a lot of spirits that kind of hang out there. Excuse me for 1 second. Okay, hopefully that works. Of course, the Haunted Mansion would have a lot of spirits hanging out because that's the intention of it, right? So that would be the intention. So it's kind of cool. I love the Haunted Mansion. It's my favorite, and I can't wait to see it during Halloween. So this is the reason why they think that there's a spirit in there is because reportedly there was a child named Tommy in 1990. He loved Disneyland, and his mom supposedly sprinkled his ashes while she was on the ride in the Haunted Mansion. And so sometimes people say that they see a little boy at the exit of the ride, and they think that this is Tommy. Now, Disney does say this did not happen, or we've cleaned it. There's no ashes, there's nothing. But I can't help but wonder, because I've ridden on that ride before, and if I had something in my, like, who would know, right? Like, who would, anyways, that's just my take on it. I don't know. But so the Haunted Mansion, and I do know that there's been other stories of seeing ghosts throughout Disneyland, especially children. And to me, this is probably residual. This is not residual, residue. It might be residual. I keep saying the wrong name, but I think it's residual. And I think it's because Disneyland is full of kids all the time, right? So because there's been, when the park closes, that certain rides just suddenly turn on, or they hear children laughing and then a ride will turn on, or they hear children giggling throughout the park. And so to me, that would be some residual haunting, because there's kids laughing all the time at Disneyland, and Disneyland is a lot of people's favorite places. And if you're a conspiracy theorist, there might be a basement full of bad things that happen that have a lot of trauma with kids. So it could be both. It could be the residual. It could be all of that. I honestly don't feel like there's a lot of stuck spirits at Disneyland, little kid spirits, but there could be, we can go anywhere in the spirit world that we want to. And if one of our favorite places was Disneyland, who knows, we could go back there, right? The cool thing is I found a website full of all these kind of stories at Disneyland. It's called Haunted Orange County. And it talks about different places in Orange County, California that are haunted, and Disneyland's one of them. And so there's like a lot of stories on there. A lot of them are about kids, a lot of them. And so some of them are, there was one in the California Soarin', one of the employees had seen a little girl in where no kids should be. And so you would have to go and read those stories. They're really, really cool. And that's where a lot of the children residual, I want to say income, residual spirits would be. So the website is hauntedoc.com/haunted-Disneyland-stories. So that was kind of fun reading through some of those. I was going to tell some of them on here, but I didn't know if there was like copyright law or anything like that. And I just figured if you wanted to hear them, you could go there. So that was the premise of, I woke up this morning and I was like, I'm going to kind of tell some stories. There's not a lot, but I was going to tell some stories of Haunted Disneyland because I'm so excited for Oogie Boogie. I'm getting my costume ready. I'm getting all the things ready. And Ryan did come and tell him about Oogie Boogie. And so I just thought it's a cool kind of intertwined Haunted Disneyland plus Carrie's spiritual experiences at the same time. Now, when I do go, you bet I'm going to be on the lookout this time for spiritual experiences. Does that mean I'm going to have any? No, but I'm going to be on the lookout. So I'm not going to be closed down. Usually when I go to public things or go to where there's a lot of people, I do shut down, just because if I don't and I'm wide open, I can feel so much and I can pick up on so much that it's exhausting. And so usually I shut down. So just so you know, if I'm out in public and I see you, or if I just met you or we see each other, don't think I'm reading you, because one, that is against private, that's not integrity. And it's kind of against your privacy. And so I don't do that. But there are times when I will go into places and I will stay open to try and pick up and feel things. I just don't do it a lot, because in the past, when I didn't know how to control this gift in high school, it was overwhelming and it was something that you don't love. And if you can't control it, it's not really considered a gift, because it's so constant and it's so hard and you don't understand it and it's scary. So, but I am going to go into Disneyland. I keep saying so many times, but I am going to go into Disneyland and try and be open and try and have these experiences, because I'm trying to be more open. I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to do that more. I used to just be so shut down and so private and very, very private. And now I'm trying to be more open and more, I still won't read you if we see people, because a lot of people say, I see you at the store and I think that you're reading me, and I'm not. But I will try and be more open to things spiritually in different places, because I am trying to learn about paranormal stuff. And because I don't feel like it's always bad. I feel like it's spirits that need help. Wow. And I want to help both the living and the passing, if that part of that trauma needs to be back with its original owner, or how that works. I want to be part of that. So then there we go. So next week I think I'm going to talk about on the podcast, I think I'm going to talk about soul families, because some stuff happened this weekend. And the one thing I do want to leave with you this weekend is, I have been doing readings for over 10 years. And spirits always do come through and say, we are part of a soul family. You are part of a soul family. You are here on earth with them, and you go over to the other side with them. And sometimes you come back on earth with them. It just depends. It just depends if they want to stay and help you and be a guide. That's just how it is. But what I want you to know, no matter where you live or what religion you are, nobody has the monopoly of eternal families. It's not something that one organization has the monopoly for. It's something that is your spiritual God-given right. It's something that spirits have come in through many times and said, we are part of the same family. And so please, I know lots of people who are really stressing about this, and I don't want you to. I want you to know that you are here because you are part of the divine. You are more than just the divine's child. You are part of the divine and very, very loved unconditionally. And you don't have to prove it in any way that you're worthy of that love. And your family will be with you. You will get to see your family on the other side and be with them. I just want to say that because a lot of people stress about that. They stress about what their family's doing on the other side, if they're going to be there with their loved ones again. And I want you to know that 99% of me is sure, with all of the readings and all of the spirits that have come through and talked to me and talked to their families, they have all said, we're going to be together. And we're going to be together for a long time, for eternity, for a long time, not just for a couple of days, forever, because we're part of the same soul family. So please do not lose sleep over that. Just know that your loved ones are waiting for you and you will be with them and we will be all together again. Okay. Okay. I love you guys so much. And I will see you guys next week.